Hey, everybody. It is so good to see you. I'm really excited to be able to talk with you about the astrology that is coming up in March. March is one of the more active months that I think we've seen so far this year. And so there's a lot to talk about. And there are some bright sides to really go into, a lot of ways that you can take this energy and use it for your spiritual expression and expansion that I really hope you will be as excited about as I am. There's a lot of great opportunities in this month with this energy, and just some really great things to be conscious of as we navigate through the month, because February really happened. And I think we can all say that was a thing. And now March is coming in, I would say energetically like a lion, but in the best sense, a lion that is coming in with all of the energy primed and ready to be used. So you will find that as I go throughout these interpretations, these are my interpretations based on my knowledge and background in astrology. And I, again, have usually an optimistic outlook. I will make you aware of what the condition of the energy will be in a sort of neutral sense, then to show how struggles or challenges may show up in that energy, but then also talking about how you can use the energy to your benefit now that you are conscious and aware of it, and you have this foresight, this kind of forecast to go into the month with. You will be able to say, I see this energy, I see this potential, and I choose to align with it to move in this direction for my highest and best good. That is the focus of my version of astrological forecasts. I want you to feel empowered to move through your life in a wonderful, aligned way. So that's what we're going to do. Quick reminder that if you are interested in really brief, short form versions of the astrological forecasts, I give those by the week on the Alchemist Inkwell podcast, which you can find on YouTube or on your favorite podcast platform. And I do daily planetary skits for these aspects as they come up. I will personify them in characters of the planets and sort of do a little skit that I do post on TikTok. So that kind of helps to express the vibe of the interaction and the relationship that the planets are having, that conversation created by the aspect between them. This is designed for more of a deeper dive into the actual astrology, the data of it, the expression of those aspects. So there will be astrological terms that I will try my best to make sure I explain as I go with, so that you can use this as a tool for understanding astrology in a deeper way as it relates to your life, and the things you may be noticing around you. So we're going to dive right in, as March does, by starting with the new moon in Pisces, which is going to be happening on March 2nd. And when I do have new moons, full moons, or a changing of the season, as we will from Pisces into Aries, I will show you the chart on the screen so that you can see it and see what I'm talking about. For the aspects in between, I'll just talk to you right here with me here. So I'm going to go ahead and show my screen. And that way you will be able to see what we are looking at. There we go, for this new moon on March 2nd. So this new moon, the reason that I keep talking about it, if you heard the Alchemist Inkwell episode with Friday Elliott about synesthesia, we also talked about the new moon, and it was actually really cool because Friday was able to tell us what that tastes like with her amazing synesthesia skills and techniques. And so what I really am focusing on here is that a new moon, as it would be, is a conjunction between the sun and the moon. This time it is happening in Pisces, while Jupiter is right there conjunct with them as well. It's only 2 degrees off. They are applying to Jupiter. So this is an energy that is increasing for us, this Jupiter new moon energy. And not too far away is Neptune. In traditional astrology, Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces. In modern astrology, Neptune is considered a co-ruler as well. In my own practice, I like to think of Neptune as being very much in agreement with the themes of Pisces. I specialize in Hellenistic astrology, which keeps the traditional rulership at the front with the largest impact, simply because Jupiter is closer. We can see it, and he can see us a little bit more than Neptune, who is hidden out there, out of sight without a telescope. So what we'll be looking at is, especially if you're on the East Coast, this new moon will be happening almost directly above, at the middle of heaven, so mid-heaven. And this energy is the sun and the moon creating a stillness, a spiritual time, as new moons usually are, creating that manifesting energy, that opportunity to go in between spaces, in between moments, and make something new happen. That's what we think of when we think of manifesting, right? It's getting almost between the atoms of the cosmos and changing things around to create a new world on the other side. But in that process, which is a theme for a lot of March, in that process of changing things, in that moment between moments or in that stillness, we find this amazing ability for transformation, for infinite potential, all of those things that this alignment, particularly in the sign of Pisces, is really embodying. So this is a moment of infinite potential, especially when it comes to energy, spirituality, unconscious growth, and your spiritual awareness. Jupiter being there really brings in that whole spiritual support as well, and brings in an expansion of your awareness to it, which is fantastic. Neptune can be a bit nebulous, Neptunian, confusing, or just a little bit abstract. And Jupiter comes in and says, there is reason to believe in what we're looking at. So that's the general gist of what we see going on, but that's not all that's happening in the sky for this lunation. Another reason this is so cool is because while this might be very broad concept with this Piscean dreaming big dreams, having big visions, we actually do have a conjunction that will occur on the same day between Mercury and Saturn in Saturn's domicile sign of Aquarius. So this is still pretty big concept because Aquarius likes to have a top-down view of what's going on, but there's also a sense of strategy here. There's an anchoring in and structuring of ideas. I like to put Saturn structure, Mercury ideas and writing together to consider it as critical thinking. So we have the ability to have this amazing spiritual experience, but then witness it with critical thinking, study it, understand it, get the bigger picture for how we can actually apply it in our lives. So you have the as above here, and possibly even you could say this is the so below. This is how you strategize the implementation of all of this. And then at the same time, talking again of that evolutionary moment, that infinite potential moment where everything can change, we have this triple conjunction, which will perfect more over the day after on March 3rd, but it is very much active right here. We have this triple conjunction between Pluto, which we all maybe have heard of Pluto being very much associated with transformation. Pluto is death and rebirth, that process of going beneath, going into the darkness, becoming something new and re-emerging. It's what happens inside the chrysalis. So we have this conjunction with that energy and Mars and Venus, who have been traveling together for a while now and will continue to do so for a little bit. So Mars and Venus, if you think about them as the dynamic between power and peace within you, if you consider them action and beauty and all of those things, we have this reformation, this transformation of what that looks like and what that feels like within you. So this is something in your life that you may be battling with, because it's calling for transformation, and the process of transformation is not always a subtle one. It's not always a still one, and it's certainly not something that goes lightly or goes unnoticed. Transformation is truly for going from one form to another and emerging. We think of the phoenix burning up and then emerging from the ashes. What happens in those ashes to create that new phoenix from something old, that refining through fire, is something that definitely shows up in this. But what we do have is the promise that we will emerge from this with that refinement. So you go through and everything that is impure or not prepared to be in its highest state is burned away. And that can be a good thing, right? It's like taking a shower when you've been out in the mud. You feel so much better afterwards because that grime is gone. So one of the things to keep in mind as you're going through this process, however it's showing up in your life, is that this foundational relationship change that might be going on, because Venus is at this point still in the post shadow of her retrograde. So those relationship changes since the middle of December are still kind of in that phase of settling everything. So we're still talking about our boundaries. We're still talking about prioritizing ourselves, understanding ourselves so that we can then focus on or just naturally magnetize that other into our lives. So thinking about all of this, you're going through refinement as a form of transformation. And that is something that is hopefully helpful in visualizing what is on the other side, keeping this Piscean new moon in mind, saying, I'm going through this moment, but I know after this comes whatever the vision that you have is, whatever you're looking forward to is. And you will be able to strategize that with that other conjunction. We have 3 sets of conjunctions happening very close to one another, all ruled by Saturn, who rules Aquarius and Capricorn, and Jupiter, who rules Pisces. So the 2 grand benefic and malefic are at play here. And we have, of course, Pluto still at the 27 degrees. So if you're in the United States, you may still be noticing some shifts and pivotal things happening around that. It's important to keep in mind as you're checking into headlines and things like that, that we're still in a very transformational time. So you think of the cosmos as a whole being in a very transformational time, and us as a very, very specific expression of that cosmos, very narrowed into our own little microcosm, also having a world of experience within that greater whole. This video is for you in your microcosm, in your little world, in your expression, your perception, to be able to find your way and make the most of what's going on in the bigger picture, and find the way for you to be the most effective, the most integrated, and the most aligned with what's happening around you, so that you can enjoy life as it's unfolding in every capacity possible. So recommendations for this new moon: it is a powerful new moon. Even if you, again, are on the East Coast with me, you'll be seeing that while the moon is happening directly ahead, the ruler of the chart of the lunation is actually, in fact, the moon. So it's very intuitive, very possibly emotional, letting that transformation happen through the fluidity of your emotions, doing what they need to do and balancing themselves out. My recommendation is to take the opportunity and apply this with meditative music, and see how that really helps you get into the mental state of that Piscean meditation. Astral projection, if that is something that you do. Automatic journaling, just having a conversation with your higher self, with anything that you feel is a source of inspiration for you, journaling it out, spending time simply daydreaming or drawing yourself a scented bath, using that water modality here and allowing yourself to immerse in water, the way that this lunation is so steeped in water energy. And again, journaling will help you make process out all of those thoughts and all of those things that are going on. It really will play into that critical thinking of the Saturn Mercury aspect that we're looking at. So this is a situation where all the planets are hanging out in that little corner of the chart, and they're all within the same angles of the nodes on the same side of it. That's a lot of focus in the same area. And the major players of the lunation, the rulers, are hanging out in or near Pisces, especially for the lunation itself. That Piscean energy is very powerful. And so this is an alignment with inner peace, personal ideals and belief systems. It's a deep, calming breath to draw us back into ourselves and into this moment where the world has been presenting us with a lot of things that we maybe can't pin down, and a lot of things that are confusing. Now we get to say, I'm going to take a deep breath and remember that I am here and now, and this is where I'm in control, and this is where I'm going to go. So that is an opportunity. Also on the same day, the sun will sextile Uranus while Mercury conjoins Saturn. So we have the sun with Uranus and Taurus, creating opportunities to build and make some good change that will be sustainable and something that is going to be feeling very good to your nature. So those are things that I'm really actually looking forward to with this Piscean new moon. It's nice to have something that feels optimistic and very flowing and calm and transcendently peaceful. So the affirmation I actually have for this is, my peace begins with me. That is something to remember, that as everything else is happening around you, your peace, your perception, your world, it all begins with you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then we will move on to the 3rd, when that conjunction between Mars and Venus and Pluto will perfect as well. Now, it's not going to be all at once on the exact degree and minute, but it's already very close. It's already within a degree of all of it. So this conjunction is absolutely considered a triple conjunction, in my opinion. And what we'll be experiencing, to just reiterate a little bit of what we talked about with that new moon, is some pivotal compromises and decisions in relationships in particular. You may find that your spiritual needs and your material needs suddenly need to align, like they haven't been working together. And now the desire to make those things all encompassing, to know that your mind and your body can work in alignment, your spirit can be in alignment with that as well, as sort of a 3-in-1 kind of entity. That may be something that comes up that you have sudden realizations around. This is an opportunity to really tear down any ego, and ego is attachment. When I talk about ego, I'm actually hearkening back to the resource of A Course in Miracles, where ego is our fear of separation, our fear of not being part of something bigger, our fear of the unknown, that kind of thing that motivates us to react rather than to move and flow. That is where I believe the ego comes in a little bit. So we can sort of dissolve that opportunity, let that fall away, and realize that we can move from a place of unconditional love and confidence and certainty, and the detachment of, I know this is going to work out for the highest and best. I'm excited to see how that goes. That's a way that I like to navigate things. Even when things fall apart and go crazy, I use my after this technique of, after this, I know it's going to be great. I'm excited to see how it works out, like what happens in between. So this is a great time to break some molds in relationships, whether it's an opportunity for you to feel clear on gender, sexuality dynamics, being transparent and feeling and understanding yourself. It's not something you need to proclaim to the world at this time. If you don't feel comfortable with it, I'm not encouraging you to do something out of your comfort zone. This is already an energy that is challenging us to step up and step out, but it is a personal energy. So while this is transformational, it's not something that is forcing you anywhere that you don't want to go. So you may have breakthroughs and realizations and transcendent kind of aha moments. And I think I'm probably going to use the word transcendent a lot through this video. So forgive me if that word gets a little stale, but this is coinciding with that Pisces new moon, and it shows a sort of stay or go discernment. Does this still serve me, or can I leave it behind? And does this new thing serve me? And can I now sort of commit myself to it? Can I take it into being a part of who I am? And how does that feel? So again, it's all about you and where you're at. These are very personal planets interacting with a transformational, very long distance and long traveling planet. So you have Mercury, no, you have Venus and Mars, which are really bringing your emotions, your sense of self, your power, your personality into play. And Pluto saying, I activate this. I kind of sanction this from somewhere way up high that says this is the time for this to align with the greater cosmic picture. So this is fantastic. It's a way to really understand how, if you're feeling true to yourself, and if you are, and if you get in alignment with that, how you can become that self, stepping forward. This moment is the change. And then you move forward with that. It's like a first day of school mentality where you decide to change your style up. And because you have this fresh start, now you can just say, I pivoted, I've gone a new direction, and this is who I am now. Hello. So I hope that you have a fantastic experience with that. But do know this is like I said, that whole transformational refinement process may not be the I don't want to say the cleanest. It may not be the easiest process to go through. It may be something that comes as a shock or as a fracturing kind of feeling. But remember, some of us really do like thrills. If you like roller coasters and things like that, this may come as a thrill, or it may come as something out of the blue. Whatever it does, you now know that this energy is going to be there. So you can go into the day saying, I'm prepared for things to go differently. I'm prepared, and I'm looking forward to taking this new moon vision into the future with me. And then you will have used that potential energy, those ingredients that are already there in the energy because of the sky and the alignments, and you'll have put them together into a nice platter of whatever you've decided, rather than just throwing them together into whatever works in the moment. You will have prepped ahead. You will have been able to make it before it got there, and now it's cooking and it's getting ready for you, to your tastes and to your preferences. So that's the idea when you're trying to take aspects and align with them. The greater things, the greater designed things that do need to happen, the big plot points in your life are still going to happen, but then you can welcome them, you can greet them, you can face them, and you're ready for them. So that's how I like to see situations like this. It's going to be an interesting day. I will be also watching the headlines on this one to see how it goes. And for you in your personal life, I hope it's transformational in the best way, like a training montage from normal life to superhero. So then we have on the 4th, I'm actually going to give myself the opportunity here to look at current transits and jump ahead to March 4th by days. All right, so on March 4th, the week between March 4th through the 10th, the first aspect we have is on the 5th, and that is Sun conjunct Jupiter in Pisces. So we saw the sun kind of moving towards Jupiter as that new moon showed on the chart. Now they come to meet together. And what this actually brings us is typically considered to be very good luck, a lot of optimism, spiritual growth, and alignment. So again, this whole phase is really just saying, where do you want your spiritual growth to go? Are you ready for that transformation? Here's the optimism and the energy to start putting it into action. This is an opportunity to make your dreams start coming into reality, to start living your lifestyle the way you dream you could, because why not? Right? What's stopping you? It's probably something that's been addressed during that triple conjunction between Mars, Venus, and Pluto. So now we have the sun coming in, creating an opportunity for enlightenment. Another side of this is something that you may catch yourself feeling like you are affirmed in everything around you, or that you may even notice that you're starting to feel like you need to question a lot of things, and questioning this and questioning that. So if you think about everything as having two sides and being an entire whole in and of itself, when we come to enlightenment, it comes from questions. We've asked questions. And so sometimes that suspicion of sometimes curiosity can be suspicion. They're a very similar energy, but if you choose curiosity, you will find your way to answers in an aligned and solid and supported way, rather than going into it with suspicion, where every piece of data feels almost overwhelming and just makes it harder to know what to trust. This is an opportunity to choose curiosity and say, with this sun conjunct Jupiter, I choose curiosity, and that will lead me to enlightenment. It will lead me to understanding rather than confusion and panic and feeling unsupported. So this is an opportunity to be able to feel supported in your faith, in your confidence, and to remember that life is a journey, and journeying is a really great example of a keyword for this alignment as well. Jupiter does rule Sagittarius, which is a lot about understanding broad concepts, deep concepts, expanding horizons. So we will be doing that for ourselves on a very intimate and personal level around the 5th, as the sun conjuncts Jupiter in Pisces, which is super unique. It's really cool. It begins a whole new cycle for the sun and Jupiter. Another thing we will be seeing is on the 6th. I'm actually excited about this one. I thought I had to go back, but here it is. Mars and Venus, one after the other, are going to ingress. They're going to move into Aquarius from Capricorn. Venus, poor Venus, has been in Capricorn for a long time. Mars has also been in Capricorn for a while, but Mars is exalted in Capricorn. So Mars does pretty well there. Venus is okay because, she rules an earth sign, so that's all right for her. But in this sign, it was very much a slog for her. She retrograded for over a month, had been there for a while, and is now finally coming to the end of that post shadow phase from the retrograde. So all of the things since I believe December 19th are now coming to a resolution in Venus's journey around the zodiac. So what we have now is Mars and Venus ingressing into Aquarius, and Venus and Mars will be conjunct again because they're just playing a little bit of tag team going on for a while, and they will begin to separate from that, I believe, after today, just hanging out together for a little bit longer. This is sort of a micro grand conjunction. Now, a grand conjunction is Saturn and Jupiter conjoining. And we actually experienced that right at the end of 2020 on December 21st, when Saturn and Jupiter moved into Aquarius. So this is like a minor model version of what we experienced then. That begins a cycle that I believe is 20 years of a social theme. With this, it's a smaller scale and it's a more personal scale. Now we are experiencing our own little personal grand conjunctions in our lives, initiating a new cycle of looking to the future, being very futuristic, being very far-sighted, and thinking very much ahead. So it's a personal grand conjunction with a new awareness and investment in equity, humanitarian causes. We're seeing a lot of opportunities for those coming up around us these days. And so you will be able to say, where is my place as an expression of the collective? What piece of the puzzle do I fit so well that I can then function and make the whole all the greater for my efforts and for my interaction with it? And again, it's no pressure. I'm not saying you have to go out and like volunteer today. I'm saying that this is your opportunity to be able to witness and understand, and it will come up naturally around you. And so you'll be able to notice it, because that's what it is. The planets are going to do this and you are going to be there. And now, because you know that this is happening, you'll be able to say, aha, that's it. I can see it. And that works with me. So it's going to be something that works for you and that you fit with your natural abilities and your natural talents and gifts. And this is an opportunity for you to use those and start becoming a part of this grand scheme and this grand picture that you are such a crucial part of. So you may notice things coming up around that where you have this new awareness and a new investment in your place in the world and what you're capable of, what is within your realm of influence, which is fantastic. Then on the 9th is our next aspect, and that comes when Mercury ingresses, another movement, into Pisces. So Mercury has been in Aquarius. Now Mercury comes into Pisces. This is a situation for Mercury. This actually has some meaning for Mercury as the fact that Pisces is actually opposite Virgo, which is Mercury's sign of not only rulership, but exaltation. That means that for Mercury, which likes to move really quickly and likes to be efficient and likes to think about things a lot, imagining that energy coming into Pisces, which is slow and cool and watery, it's not Mercury's smoothest place to be. That's not to say anything chaotic or catastrophic happens there, but it is a situation where Mercury doesn't Mercury as well as he would like to. So we have Mercury kind of like Sonic the Hedgehog now running through some slug and like a swamp. So it slows them down a bit. And that's really the only thing that I would point out about that. It gives us the opportunity to slow ourselves down and start thinking deeper, start thinking with care, start thinking about one thing at a time. It's the opportunity to take your time. And if you're someone who is welcoming that opportunity, it will be quite nice for you. If you're someone kind of like me who is always running a little bit too fast, this may slow you down with things that are happening around you. You may notice that what's happening around you slows down. The ball isn't in your court as quickly as you would like it to be. It gives you that time to really think, process, dream about what's happening so that you can move with intention in each step. And I already feel myself resisting that energy, so I know some other people may be as well. But it's the opportunity that happens only when Mercury is in Pisces or in retrograde or anything like that. It's not an all the time thing. So it is an event that you can take advantage of. So it's not going to be forever, but it is an opportunity for amazing meditative practices, putting those into practice. Astrology is a great thing that is supported by this energy. So if you've been getting into stuff like that, Hermeticism, esoterics, energy therapies, those kinds of practices that you are now beginning to learn, Mercury is in a great place for that. So we're looking at deep thinking, spiritual connections, mental stillness and peace. Again, if you're uncomfortable with stillness, it may feel a little bit anxiety inducing, but you now know that this is the energy that you're supposed to be in. So the anxiety comes from, what am I missing? What's not going right? But if the stillness is going right, then it helps you ease your anxiety. It helps you think about the fact that this is the energy that is supposed to be here. It's not a signal that I've missed something. So I'm going to use this energy like a vacation to slow myself down and take advantage of it. So this is an opportunity to immerse yourself in being comfortable in stillness and silence. So it's also important to remember that as we are in a nebulous realm in Pisces, whatever you believe, you're right. So it also helps to investigate what you believe and see how right it feels for you, because that is going to inform your worldview, your perception, the way you act, the things that come of your actions all come from the mind first. So if everything is mind, then everything that you believe is correct for you. It's your truth. So this is an awesome opportunity to be exploring your truth as well, embracing it, embodying it in everything that you do. All right, and then we move into a new week with March 11th. And these weeks are Thursday to Thursday weeks, because I use these notes also for the Alchemist Inkwell podcast. So I apologize that it's not a Monday week to week, but we do move into the span between the 11th and the 17th, which really is one of the quieter weeks. These 2 weeks from the 11th through the 24th, actually, I'm incorrect on that because we do have the full moon coming up. So this week from the 11th through the 17th is probably the least active of the month. And that is just with Mercury in Pisces forming a sextile aspect to Uranus and Taurus. Again, sextile aspects are convenient. They're opportunities. They're not as smooth sailing as trines. So you'll notice I have the opportunity to take advantage of something. When it comes to the interaction of a sextile with Mercury and Uranus, we have opportunities to shift our perspective, our perception. So kind of following that thread that we were talking about as Mercury came into Pisces, we can shift our perception and bring them into a new lens of understanding, looking at things as though you had glasses that you could change the color. And now you see things in purple, but now you see things in blue. And how does that compare? And which one feels the most right for you? So this is a focus on, again, that microcosm and the changes that are within your control. What is within your sphere of influence? And what are you capable of taking action on? That is going to make you feel the most empowered that you can feel in your life, because things that are outside your influence feel out of your control. That's what they are. But your actions in your sphere will impact greater areas. So you are making a massive difference by focusing on what is presented before you. That is what God and the universe are saying. Hey, this is where you are awesome. This is where we actually need you to help us. And so that is where you can take action and then be a part of massive impact on a larger scale that you may get to see, or it may be something that just happens and something small you did change the world. And it'll be really cool for that to happen as well. But knowing that little changes are making big impacts, especially at this time during the week of the 18th through the 24th, you may notice some opportunities arising to make changes, which should be fun. That's another way to choose the energy of a thing. Something can be exciting or it can be anxiety inducing. Again, that roller coaster is a roller coaster. How you feel about the ride of the roller coaster is up to you. Some people choose excitement or are more easily able to create excitement. And some people feel a little bit more anxious in that moment. But to get through it, if you have the opportunity, if it is safe for you to do so, and aligned for you to do so, you can choose excitement to help you through that moment. And then after that, you will have whatever comes after in your visualization and in your own world manifesting around you. And that actually brings us to the full moon, which I'm going to open on my chart, March full moon on March 18th. So I will share my screen now too, so we can look at that together. I love being able to share the screen so that you guys can see what's going on. I hope you guys like that too. All right, so this is a full moon, and fun things about full moons, right? The sun is still in Pisces. So in order for the moon to be full, the moon's got to be opposite the sun, which simply places it in Virgo, because that's what's opposite of Pisces. And this is happening at the 27th degree of Pisces in Virgo. The moon being in Virgo is what makes it full. So it will be full of light that day. And this in the East Coast, if you're interested, is something that happens at 3:18 a.m. So I would say it's totally safe if you want to honor the full moon with releasing techniques and things. You're safe to do that the night before easily. The moon will still be in Virgo, which is nice. It's still in that same energy, and it is well within the full moon phase by degree. So some things that we can point out about this are that we have Mercury is still squaring Uranus and Taurus a little bit, but now we can actually see that Mercury is coming to conjunct Jupiter down in Pisces. So here's Mercury. And if you're wondering about that square with Uranus, Uranus is over here, and it's actually that sextile. So I have a typo in my notes. It's still in sextile aspect with Uranus and Taurus. So those opportunities for change are still at play a little bit. And they're coming into this expansion, which will perfect a few days later. And we will be covering that when Mercury does come to meet Jupiter by degree and minute. So this helps us to, again, expand those subtle ideas and connections that we have. Mercury loves connecting things. So we'll be recognizing areas for expansion and change, seeing into the future at any obstacles that are in the way. So that expansive vision of things ahead and things to come, and creating a sustainable path that we can walk to get there is going to be really helpful, and likely something that comes up naturally during this lunation for you. We also have Venus in Aquarius, which is now squaring. That's a true square with Uranus in Taurus. So you see Venus here at 11 Aquarius, and then Uranus is in Taurus at 12 degrees Aquarius. So that is an applying aspect. It is still to perfect. It's still coming up. And that will, I think we're going to be talking about it on the 19th. So it will happen the next day exactly, but the energy is certainly there. And that brings up conflict with changes in relationships, maybe too much changing all at once, some overwhelm, surprising shifts in values or things that you place your value in. So again, things can be exciting, but definitely make sure you are taking the opportunity with this full moon in Virgo to plant your feet in the ground, root in, and allow any kind of anxiety to wash away. If you are working on releasing anxiety is a great opportunity during this moon. So I recommend for it some breath work. We also have the sun conjunct Neptune at this point. It's still loosely conjunct Neptune. The sun has a pretty wide range. So it had conjoined Neptune already, which we talked about on the 13th. Actually, I may have missed that. So the sun is conjunct Neptune at this point. It had exactly done that on the 13th, which is, I like to think of it as an awareness of the fractal universe. There's a lot going on, and it's like seeing the world in a kaleidoscope. And there may be that sense of being able to dissolve your identity from your awareness so that you can then again have that perception of the collective, of the all, of the oneness that we all have. It's an identity and a divine awareness. It could manifest as a sense of being lost. So if you're feeling lost that day, it's something to immerse yourself in, to remember that, as Tolkien said, not all who wander are lost. This is an opportunity for that line to really embody itself on the 13th and through this full moon that is happening on the 18th. So also on this day, on the 18th, the sun will continue its journey in Pisces, and it will be sextiling with Pluto in Capricorn. So we have Pluto over here at 28. In the same day, the sun will reach 28 as well, forming a sextile aspect, really creating the opportunity, should you choose it, for identity transformation, for understanding yourself in a whole new way and really seeing yourself in a new light. This can be simply as put as looking in the mirror and saying, I choose to see this now, and I'm changing this idea of myself. It may show up in the world around you. It may show up just in your day of having a sudden revelation of seeing yourself differently or feeling differently or something like that. So keeping that in mind as we go through this. The affirmation that I recommend is, I release the old and breathe life into the new. I think it's very important to really focus on breathing techniques for this this full moon in Virgo. It seems like breath is a really great Piscean technique to use to ground and root with that Virgo energy that will be there as well. So we are breathing life into the people of our world, kind of like sprouts pushing through the snow after winter. There's a lot of opportunity for self-reflection. Virgo is also very much associated with physical health. So it's a great time to do sort of a check on yourself, see how you're feeling. If you are someone who does body scans on yourself, to just check how you are, check how you're doing from head to toe. Just check in on yourself and make sure that your mind and your soul and your body are cooperating in this experience of life. All right, so it's a great time for pruning your plans so that you can see ahead more clearly. Again, that long form vision of seeing ahead to the obstacles and pruning them away, creating the smoothest, most efficient path for yourself between where you are now and where you are looking forward to being. Awesome. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen on there. Cool. And then we will get back to the current transits leading us up to March 19th. So on March 19th, Venus in Aquarius is going to perfect that square with Uranus and Taurus. Again, we talked about this a little bit in the full moon. This is struggles with your ideals, a requirement to maybe pivot your interests a little bit. This could be the opportunity to change from what resources you're currently using and placing your value in to resources that are more natural, ethically sourced kind of sources, things that are sustainable. What you're using now may have worked before, but this aspect shows that we may have to change because it doesn't work as well anymore and you deserve better. So that is something that I think Venus can really agree with, especially Venus being the ruler of Uranus right now, who is in her sign of Taurus. Taurus being a lot about nature, about your resources, about the things that support you, even indulgences that make you feel comfortable and comforted. So those kinds of things may be changing right now. There's a lot of change going on in the world right now, and it begins with setting yourself up to be who you need to be who feels right to you, and change is totally okay and acceptable. You have permission. If you need it, give yourself the permission to be someone new, to be different, to change. And then immediately after, on the 20th, we will have Aries season. So I'm going to get to show my chart again for you to see Aries season. Let me find Aries season. And so this is on the 20th of March. We're going to share the screen one more time. Here we go. And we have Aries season. Aries season is super exciting to me because I am not someone who thrives so well in cold weather, which is what we have in the winter here in the East Coast where I am in the Northern Hemisphere. So for Aries season to be the initiation of a new zodiacal year, it is the first sign of the zodiac. This is our zodiacal new year. And where I am in the Northern Hemisphere, it is also a time where we are thinking about and welcoming in the increase of warmer weather. Yay. If you're like me, huzzah. If you're not, I am so glad that you were having a thriving time over the last few months. And now the cycles are changing, so we can all witness sort of the beauty of that transition. It's a beautiful time of year when the cycles do change the way that they do. So this is also the time, okay, cool. I was like, do I tell you the difference between a vernal equinox and Aries season? I do, and I will cover it after I talk about the chart for Aries season. So we have where do I want to start here? The sun is now exalted in Aries. This is really exciting. I'm looking forward to maybe doing some solar talismans with this. And so it is a zodiacal new year. It creates ambition, energy to initiate. It's the beginning of the zodiac. It's fiery, it's cardinal, it is ready to start something. So I really enjoy that energy of, the stillness that comes with Pisces now leading to everything that we've integrated and understood being born into action in this next phase. So we have this opportunity to begin taking action, set some goals, doing things like that. It's a season of revisioning our plans and our futures, beginning to take tangible steps towards large scale goals and maintaining a clear image of success in order to inform the steps that we take between here and there, knowing that you are successful in all that you do, whatever it is you're doing, you are being successful at it. You are successful in watching this video right now because that's what you committed your time to doing. And now you are doing it. So know that everything that you do is something that is being done, and that is a success in and of itself. So now you get to choose what kind of successes you want and what the nature of those successes look and feel like. So Jupiter is still conjunct Mercury here. They're still hanging out pretty close. Mercury is the quicker mover, so that will be perfecting over the next few days, and we will talk about that on the 21st. So it's only one day away from actually coming to perfection there. We also have, let's see, the Mars conjunct Venus in Aquarius still at play. There they are. Now they are separating a little bit more. You'll notice there are a full 3 degrees between them now, instead of just hanging out near 1 degree apart as they had been for a while. They are starting to move apart and finding their own ways. And they're coming very close to interacting with Saturn, which we will also be able to talk about. So this is a new cycle, a new perspective, taking more initiative towards our passions, knowing that we are the ones responsible for creating the world around us. And that's exciting. That is a powerful place to be. And now we have the energy and the drive and the passion to be able to really take that energy and feel supported that this is the time to be taking action. An affirmation for Aries season is I am stronger than I feel, smarter than I think, and braver than I believe, which is adapted from Winnie the Pooh by Milne. But just know that you truly are. I don't think we give ourselves enough credit very often. And so Aries, being very confident, ruled by Mars, ambitious, ready to go, that ready to go means that you are stronger than you might feel. You are smarter than you might think, and you are braver than you may believe and than you may be aware of. But this energy is here to really give you that boost to be able to take those actions and move forward. Ways to really take advantage of it are make plans for the coming months, do some spring cleaning, get all the stale energy out, open your windows, let some new air in, remove anything that feels stale and make space for new things, add what you know and allow space for something better. So add what you know. What I mean by that note is add what you have that aligns with where you want to be. Put those things out. It's like decorating for spring, right? We know we are welcoming spring, so we put out flowers. And anything that you still require to really create that space and make space for the abundance or the whatever it is that you're excited for with this new season, wherever you're at, that is the opportunity to clear the space and make way for all the things that are coming. Now, thinking about the vernal equinox, which will be at 11:34 a.m. Eastern time on the 20th. So it's very close, actually. The vernal equinox is when the sun crosses the celestial equator in the northerly direction. So that is that spring initiation. And that is at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, which is the same here. So that is the beginning of, in the Northern Hemisphere, spring. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, happy fall. That's amazing. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and now we will be able to wind out the rest of the month with a few more aspects, including on the 21st of March. I cannot believe the 21st of March, we will be seeing Mercury perfect that conjunction with Jupiter. And that will be at 18 degrees in Pisces. And that, again, helps us to make expansive plans. There's some intangible desire to go further with this Piscean expansion that Jupiter gives, and then Mercury wanting to go, wanting to do, wanting to travel, and Jupiter being a journeyer himself is very much in alignment with that. So we're waiting for concepts and opportunities to manifest and present themselves. This is a great time for thinking and planning and strategizing and just imagining what things are going to be like, and then plotting out, maybe in a journal, maybe in a schedule, how those things are likely to go so that you can give yourself a framework to work with, a strategy to go by. Then on the 22nd, we do find that Mars in Aquarius will square Uranus and Taurus. Sorry, I believe that's the sextile. Yep, another issue in my notes. So the way Venus did a few days before, now Mars is taking his turn to form that sextile with Uranus and Taurus, creating an opportunity, reacting to changes so that they can fit to long-term goals. That's the opportunity here. We're looking at a new cycle, a new perspective, taking more initiative towards your goals and your passions. So that is an opportunity that you might notice around the 22nd of March. Then on the 23rd, Mercury will conjunct Neptune. I told you he was speedy. Mercury will conjunct Neptune in Pisces. And this is an energy that may, because it's very mental and very fluid, you may find that there's a propensity for confusion or even some dizziness. So what I say for this is the opportunity in this energy, the way to apply it is to either let yourself feel a little bit floaty, if that's helpful for you in something, go swimming or anything like that, spend some time in a bath, really immerse yourself in the detachment that comes from flowing with things. Or this is an opportunity to plant your feet and earth yourself. You have an abundance of that flowing energy around you. Now you can anchor it and discern through it and understand things about it by doing earthing and grounding techniques. It's a great day to take mental breaks, allow yourself to daydream, know that it may not be the most direct thought kind of day, and that's all right. It's a great opportunity for creativity in that way and for mind mapping, which I think is an excellent technique. It's also a great time not to take things too seriously because things are changing. And remember, if you're feeling this, other people are too. So maybe not everyone is feeling very grounded this day. So if we take things lightly and just witness things peacefully, that's another opportunity that we have. If you're feeling untethered, if you're feeling ungrounded, again, those grounding techniques will help. All right, and then we come into the final days of March, which are still pretty active. On the 26th, we will notice Mercury is going to be forming a sextile of their own to Pluto in Capricorn. And this gives us the opportunity to rebirth some ideas or even to destroy some old connections that aren't serving us anymore. I say destroy, I'm not saying like hurt anybody, but to allow some bridges to burn in whatever connections there are that are no longer serving you. And that can happen simply by not giving it attention anymore. You don't have to react or act out to something or someone in order to dissolve a connection. What you can do is simply take your focus away from that and put it where you prefer things to increase. You want to put your focus, your energy flows where your intention goes, is a phrase that I've heard. And that is so true and helpful to understand during this energy, as certain things that no longer serve us will likely go away and we will be presented with new opportunities. The very next day, Mercury will leave Pisces and move into Aries. So this is a very action-oriented, sharp-minded time. You may notice that your words are a little bit fiery and quick, and the filter is not there as much as it was. We just came from a time where it was almost all filter. Now it's all connected and all closed in. So this is a time where language from others and even from ourselves may be fast, blunt communication and action. So it's a great time if you're feeling a little heated to give yourself a 1, 2, 3 before you speak. So have a thought, witness the thought, and then decide how that thought will be created into the world. And it's the same way with how you speak. So if I think something, there is a moment where I can say, this is what I think, and this is how I choose to embody that thought in the world through either my words or my actions. That is the power that you have. And that's another thing that we may notice with Pluto being an indicator of power, is that you may have a very powerful thought process from the 26th through the 27th as the power comes in and then is given the room to express in that Aries energy. And Mercury will be in Aries for a while. It spends roughly a month in there, around the same time as it would other signs. So you can know that you have time where you'll be learning how to witness your thoughts and then express them into tangible actions through that mercurial energy that we've got going on. And then finally on the 28th, our last official transit of March will be Venus conjunct Saturn in Aquarius, which will be followed in early April by Mars as well. And we'll talk about that in the next video. For this one, Venus conjunct Saturn, you have Venus, who is about relationships, about values, about ideals, and you know, all those love things, all those value things, indulgences that happen. But now Saturn, and in Saturn's sign of Aquarius, we have restrictions on that. Now, Saturn is given the reputation of being restrictive, but Saturn is in Aquarius right now, which is a very comfortable place for Saturn. So this is an opportunity to take those keywords, blend them together into the idea of sitting in the relationship boundaries, setting new relationship boundaries, knowing yourself, turning inward and really focusing on your relationship with self, keeping it close for a while so that you can understand it, being one's own authority in a relationship, not needing, sometimes in this case, you might find that independence and understanding independence and understanding individuality in relationships is very helpful. You are whole and complete all by yourself. And sometimes it's super fun to be whole and complete and you know, embrace the world and things around you with another whole and complete individual. You can partner up and cooperate. But this is an opportunity to be aware of how whole and complete you are, to be aware of how individual and independent you can be and how much you can accomplish by knowing that you are enough. So that is something that I'm excited for, that energy. The flip side, the challenges you may notice, if you're feeling isolated, if you're feeling lonely, those are also Saturnian things. So find someone to talk to, because just because you are whole and complete does not mean you don't need support. And Saturn is also very much about support. So you can find that with this energy as well. This is an opportunity to enjoy your own company, to do things that you like to do things without thinking too far about having to accommodate someone else. So this is a great day to just take yourself on a date, which is actually really cool sometimes. I hope that you take advantage of those opportunities too. So we are diving into personal passions and interests, really letting yourself indulge in the things that mean something to you uninterrupted. And that is how we close out March and move into April, where the April rains will then bring the May flowers and all of those things. So April showers, there they are. So that is March for you. I hope that it is as peaceful as it can be. I know that, you know, sometimes the ocean, which is a very Piscean image, can be tempestuous and tumultuous, but if we work on stillness, if we focus on stillness, if we find stillness within ourselves, like the eye of a hurricane, knowing that there is that space and that is within us, I believe that anything that comes up, you will transform, you will emerge, you will be refined like gold, and that you will come out of March feeling spiritually renewed and ready for that Aries energy to begin initiating a new cycle of growth over this next zodiacal year. I thank you so much for joining me for this video. I have a really good time with these. I hope you guys enjoy them. I hope they're beneficial. Please remember that along with this resource, I also post on TikTok with manifesting tips, techniques, encouragements to remind you how beautiful you are, and also those transits by the day as they show up through skits to help them feel a little bit more like stories that are unfolding. And we can also interact through the Alchemist Inkwell podcast, which happens every week on Thursday. And I look forward to meeting you through the airwaves that way. You can follow me on TikTok at The Real Crystalline. And I look forward to interacting with you guys. Thank you so much. You really are a bright spot in my day always. And I hope you have a beautiful one.